Hey there folks, welcome to Spectrum Policy, talk about music, movies, art and culture, and this is Billboard Breakdown. You know, I've got some mixed feelings about the Hot 100 this week. On the one hand, our new entries actually look pretty promising for the first time in a while, or at least a few of them do, and I have to hope that a couple of these songs will actually stick around for a bit. But on the other hand, I also have to take a look at our gains and realize that even as they start to gain traction, they've got a long ways to overtake the tidal wave of garbage that's ascending up the charts when the summer lull blocks out most of the competition. Oh joy. Well, surely the top 10 is finally experiencing some movement, right? Well, in a way, and I'm not sure it's all in any way good because One Dance by Drake featuring Kyle and Wizkid is still at number 1. And here's the thing, with the exception of the streaming that apparently will never die, it's losing both sales and airplay. The problem is that it's losing them slower than Can't Stop the Feeling by Justin Timberlake, which might have held sales for a final week but is slipping on airplay and has never had significant streaming or YouTube. It's stuck at number 2. And it's got real competition now from Cheap Thrills by Sia featuring Sean Paul, which moved up to number 3 on real airplay momentum, strong sales, and okay streaming, even if a slip on YouTube kept it from getting any higher. And This Is What You Came For by Calvin Harris featuring Rihanna remains a contender too at number 4, with consistent boosts in airplay and streaming to match its YouTube dominance. But the big boost here came in sales, driven by the whole Calvin Harris-Taylor Swift breakup that might have been the best parting gift that Taylor could have possibly given him, unless she's actually officially credited as a songwriter. That means she'll get a cut too, so everyone except the general public can win. Now this pushed back Don't Let Me Down by the Chainsmokers featuring Daya down to number 5, but that might have happened anyway. It got muscled back on airplay and sales with okay streaming, keeping it mostly where it is. But it might be vulnerable to a challenge from Ride by 21 Pilots, which moved up to number 6 on good sales, okay streaming, and decent if not quite consistent airplay traction. Hell, moved past Needed Me by Rihanna, which out of nowhere picked up some significant airplay to match up its huge streaming and compensate for its crap sales. And this allowed it to remain above Panda by Designer, which collapsed down to number 8 as it spent the week losing in all categories. Now, you would think that such weaknesses would have allowed Don't Mind by Kent Jones to advance, but no, weaknesses in sales and streaming and hitting an airplay peak meant that it was stuck at number 9, and I don't see it really getting that much higher. And this takes us to our new top 10 entry at number 10, Send My Love to Your New Lover by Adele. And look, I'll repeat what I said when I covered 25, that I don't really like this song, but it's still bringing a standard of quality simply because it is from Adele that allows it to maintain a bit of sales and airplay momentum. And while I'm definitely not pleased this will probably end up beating When We Were Young, it's not precisely a bad song, so I guess I'll take it in the top 10. Where things look a little bit worse is when we consider our losers and dropouts. The latter category showing a fair amount of solid songs just leaving the charts. Yeah, nobody's gonna miss Cut It by OT Genasis featuring Young Dolph, or either Still Here or Hype from Drake, both which were proven false. But we're also losing We by Jeremiah, which kinda did grow on me, Wild Things by Alessia Cara, and most sadly, The Sound of Silence cover from Disturbed, which will probably wind up just short of the necessary points it needs to hit the year-end list, which is just fantastic. And our losers, okay, they're more of a mixed bag. I'm not about to complain that Noise by Kenny Chesney had a terrible week on country radio falling to 84, or that Wake Up by Fetty Wap collapsed down to 60, and I'm a little bit overjoyed that MILF Money by Fergie crashed hard to 80, proving the American public might be able to resist naked provocation for once. But along the way, Famous by Kanye West featuring Rihanna slipped down to 88. I expect this to be temporary, and you see some of the more of the controversy coming this week. Pillow Talk by Zayn Malik fell down to 48. It's probably its last week on the charts, and You Don't Own Me by Grace featuring G-Eazy lost all of its gains from last week to drop hard to 83. Lovely. And again, I might not care so much if our gains in returning entries had any promise, but it's not a good sign when Kanye West might be the factor driving any vestige of quality on the Hot 100. He has the sole returning entry with Father Stretch My Hands Part 1 at 100 with Kid Cudi, and he probably helped Schoolboy Q gain some traction for that part up to 43 off the Blank Face LP. But beyond that, by the Nine Hills, have you seen this garbage? Treat You Better by Shawn Mendes rise off the video to 20. I Got the Keys by DJ Khaled featuring Jay-Z and Future goes up to 34. We Don't Talk Anymore by Charlie Puth featuring Selena Gomez refuses to take its own advice and goes to 35. Wherever I Go by One Republic continues to let everyone down at 55. My PYT by Wale remains a shallow ripoff at 64. Money Longer by Lil Uzi Vert continues to be mediocre crap at 74. We'll deal with more Lil Uzi Vert later. And Lockjaw Raw by French Montana and Kodak Black actually gains traction, going up to 79. It's not a good sign when the best tracks that are here that are picking up any sort of traction are the White Bread Safety of Brand New by Ben Rector up to 82, the Snooze Fest of I Hate You I Love You by Nash featuring Olivia O'Brien at 50, and Love by Tory Lanez, a song that I actually don't mind all that much, so okay, let's hope it maintains some momentum past 69. So yeah, a lot of garbage rising up the charts, but maybe our new arrivals actually have some promise? Well, let's start off with number 99, No Money by Galantis. Getting requests to cover this song on World Hit for a while now, and that's no surprise given that this Swedish duo has been making real traction everywhere else except the United States. But this song was lurking just below the Hot 100 for a while now, and I have to admit I'm a little bit surprised that this is their very first song to cross off the dance charts and onto the Hot 100, especially as half the duo was formerly a member of Bloodshine Avant, who helped write Toxic for Britney Spears along with a load of her absolute worst songs. Unfortunately, I wouldn't put this on par with their best either, and yeah, it's almost entirely because of that heavily auto-tuned child voice. I'm just not a fan of it. Yeah, the tropical synth and sandy percussion is alright, but between all the whooping, the pitch shifting, and the incredibly on-the-nose anti-bullying message, it just wears on my nerves in record time. It's a little bit too ham-handed. So yeah, for those of you who are asking, that's kind of a reason why I did not cover this in World Hit. And here's my counterpoint, number 97, Lush Life by Zara Larsson.
No past, doing it all night, all summer, doing it the way I wanna. Yeah, I'ma dance my heart out till the dawn, but I won't be done when morning comes. Doing it all night, all summer, gonna spend it like no other.
You know, I covered this a few weeks back when I had no idea if this is ever going to pick up any momentum, but it's finally here and it's definitely not worn out its welcome for me. A tight, wiry synth and percussion line, enough wiry effects to complement the mix without swamping it out, including a surprisingly subtle whistle, and Zara Larsson showing some pretty solid pipes fitting somewhere between Rihanna and Alessia Cara. And again, for a song about a girl who's living out her summer bouncing from crush to crush, it's pretty damn infectious. I do like this. Again, the real crime is that it took this long for Lush Life to chart, so let's hope for the summer at least it sticks around. Number 95, La Bicicleta by Carlos Vives and Shakira. And almost like clockwork, we get one of two Spanish songs entering the Hot 100. And unless you get a huge crossover hit, they tend to stick near the bottom throughout most of the course of the summer before fading away. And yet, there's a part of me that kind of doesn't hope this happens. Most because I consider it a net positive if there's more Shakira on the charts at least. Now in this case, it's a duet with Colombian singer Carlos Vives, who has had very successful on the Latin charts, but not quite crossing over to the Hot 100 until here with La Bicicleta. And it's alright, I guess. I'm not quite sure what it is that's not quite clicking with me. Shakira sounds great as always, and she and Carlo have good chemistry, and the bouncy love song flair in the lyrics is generally pretty likable, especially with some of the details there. But I honestly think it might be the instrumentation here. Sure, the acoustic guitar adds some nice groove, and I'm not going to complain about some good accordion and slightly textured percussion here, but that main rubbery bass beat that runs through the entire song feels kind of tacked on to make it feel more poppy, and frankly, it's not really needed. Although, considering how polished the rest of the song feels in the percussion, I'm not all surprised that it's here. At the end of the day though, it's not bad, although I don't think that Shakira's quite at her best yet, so we'll see how this goes. Number 91, You and Me by Marc E. Bassy featuring G-Eazy.
It's not us no more, it's just you and me. We're just strangers in passing, casually. It's not us no more, it's just you and me.
Okay, here's something a little bit embarrassing about myself. For probably longer than I would otherwise admit, I thought the word bass was pronounced as bass. Yeah, like the fish. And thus, when I saw this guy's name, my mind immediately refracted and went back to a juvenile place. Oh, don't look at me like that. I'm only 26 here. But okay, in all due seriousness, Marc Bassy, otherwise known as Mark Griffin, he's been around in the pop scene for a while now. Remember the pop soul group 2AM Club before going solo with a mixtape in 2014, and this being the lead-off single for his upcoming new album. Well, this is definitely not soul, I can say that. Instead, Marc Bassy goes for this very weedy reggae sound that's about the furthest thing from sounding natural, especially coming after that piano intro, and especially when he tries to use the second verse to contort his voice into a reggae accent as he and G-Eazy try for their version of Hotline Bling. And sure, while I was initially kind of on board with painting the situation as a respectful moving on from a bad relationship, two niggling issues made that kind of difficult. The first coming when Marc Bassy implied in his verses that he's still kind of got feelings for this girl and that she's got him too, and then G-Eazy throwing in how the relationship might not have been great, but why did you have to go cheat on him and mess it all up? That's the same sort of petty sourness that reminds me of Magic in a bad way, and at least that band had a little bit more atmosphere to add to their petulance. This is just plastic and thin and mediocre. In other words, yeah, I'm not recommending this. Number 89, You Was Right by Lil Uzi Vert.
Yeah, I should've never ever took her home. No. Yeah, I should've just blown. Yeah, fantasy on my phone. Yeah, hit it from the back, watch a nigga bless you. Yeah, crying in my arms like a nigga wrecked you. Talking about a broken heart, running to the restroom.
Okay, seriously, American public. Of the XXL Freshman, why are you giving this guy a second song on the Hot 100 when both Anderson .Paak and Denzel Curry would be far better choices and would actually sound fine in the mainstream? Because I sure as hell didn't like the last song I heard from Lil Uzi Vert, and this song is not good either. And I can go on about how Metro Boomin's production is kind of limp and underwhelming with a muted warble for a melody that's got no presence, but it's still probably the best thing here compared to Lil Uzi Vert. And I got the perfect word to describe this guy: lazy. The hook sets up a song of regret that he shouldn't have taken this groupie home when he's got a girlfriend, and now how communication between he and his girl is falling apart. So okay, why at the end of your first verse you say if somebody comes at you, you're then going to fuck her sister and make sure she vanish? That's psycho, and it doesn't solve the problem of your girl feeling devalued because you're screwing other chicks. The apology, the hook, it screams of insincerity, especially because on the second verse, you only give her 4 bars to try to extend any sort of comfort, and nowhere in the song do you actually apologize. Ugh. Why the hell does this twerp have a career again? Because, yeah, I'd skip this. This sucks. Number 86, Dule El Corazon by Enrique Iglesias featuring Wisin.
Conmigo te duelen los pies, con él te duele el corazón, y conmigo te duelen los pies.
You know, I'm still a little bit stunned that Enrique Iglesias can continue to release singles that actually do mostly well. Most of his recent success in the past couple of years has been in Spanish, but he's been reasonably consistent in releasing tracks for about the past 15 years. And when Messing Around with Pitbull dropped off the charts this week, he had this collaboration with reggaeton artist Wisin ready to place it. Now, Wisin's actually charted before. He had a very minor hit in 2014 backed up by J-Lo and Ricky Martin with Adrenalina, and this is doing even better, although it's definitely got its fair share of problems. For one, I do not recommend you translate the song into English, because right in the opening lines from Enrique, he describes how he wants to finish in his girl's mouth. Charming. And when you realize that this is also a song where Enrique is trying to woo over this girl from her boyfriend, a relationship that he doesn't really care much about, no matter how much it's clearly putting her in crisis, and then Wisin follows up by saying that maybe they should all go party with said boyfriend because of course she can handle it. Wow, that's brazen. And while I might kind of buy it coming from Wisin, I'm not sure I can buy it from Enrique, who has never been all that convincing vocally in a role like this, all the way back from when he made Escape. Now, the one point I will give this song in its favor is that the instrumentation is actually pretty tight with a sharper acoustic groove that builds to a pretty propulsive hook. Even if I think those synth accents and fizzy percussion on the hook, they could have been pitched out in favor of something with a little bit more grit behind it to give this song a little bit more weight. In other words, even though the song does have its issues, plenty of them, especially lyrically, I can see myself liking this in spite of myself, especially in Spanish if I don't care about the lyrics. So it'll be interesting to see how the song progresses and actually whether or not it'll become a hit, because honestly, it might just fall in that territory. And finally, number 72, Love Make the World Go Round by Jennifer Lopez and Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Love makes
You know, it can be very easy to get kind of cynical about these sort of charity singles, but for some reason, Lin-Manuel Miranda seems to have an uncanny ability just to short-circuit that for me. Everyone nowadays knows him from Hamilton, but I remember him a lot more strongly from In the Heights, for managing to tap into personal struggles of a son of immigrants struggling to keep his bodega running with an immediately distinctive voice and texture delivery, and man, he sells his bars. And while there's a part of me that would love to see Dobby Diggs use his Hamilton success to push clipping to primetime exposure, Lin-Manuel Miranda, right now, he's getting a potent boost of his own, this time teaming up with Jennifer Lopez of all people for a heartfelt tribute to the victims of the Orlando gay nightclub shooting. And honestly, I wasn't quite sure if Jennifer Lopez was the best person to make this tribute, mostly because the production reframes the entire song like a flashy tropical dance number. But then again, given the kind of music that would have typically played on a Latin night at that gay club, there's potent symbolism there. I can appreciate the parallel. But let's get real. This track is here because Lin-Manuel Miranda drops a very strong, well-written, heartfelt verse that's easily the highlight here. I don't know if it'll be enough to keep this song around for more than a week, but I suspect since it's not framed or written like your typical charity song, it might have a little bit more staying power. I kind of hope it gets a little bit of radio play, because yeah, this is a good song. I'll take it. So yeah, that was this week. Yeah, okay, it wasn't great, but it was far from bad, which is definitely a nice change of pace. We also had more entries for the best, though it's kind of easy here. Lush Life by Zara Larsson takes the top spot, with Love Make the World Go Round for the honorable mention from Lin-Manuel Miranda and Jennifer Lopez. On the flip side, You Was Right by Lil Uzi Vert somehow makes the bad grammar of this week even more insufferable as the worst. And If You and Me by Marc Bassy featuring G-Eazy as a dishonorable mention. Probably a more contentious opinion, but give it a couple more listens. That song really is rancid when you start digging into it. Overall though, you have to hope things are starting to look up a little bit. The summer lull might not permanently contaminate things with crap, but till then, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.